Hey guys, Casey here from Melbourne Reiki and Wellness, and today's theme is self-inquiry, something that I'm really interested in, and I have been for a really long time, many years. Self-inquiry is kind of like self-reflection, taking the time out to really think about like how am I feeling today, or what's going on in my life? Am I happy? Am I content? What do I want to improve? Where do I want to go? What are my goals? And all of those things that we don't often take a lot of time to think about. The problem is, if we don't self-reflect and we don't take that time out for self-inquiry, then we kind of just plod through life and everything's fine. But then most of the time we hit a wall at some point in our life, or an experience will occur, something will happen that will almost like force us to take the time out and reflect on where we're going or what we're doing or whether we're happy or not. I think last year COVID was that brick wall for pretty much everyone. So when I see clients, both coaching clients and Reiki clients, with Reiki, I actually start each session with a mini coaching session as well. I always like to check in with them because it's something that I guess we don't often get as humans. We don't always get people asking us how we are and then really wanting to know the answer or holding space for us to be able to actually explore, how am I feeling? So whenever a client comes in to see me, I always ask, okay, so 0 to 10, 0 feeling terrible, 10 being amazing, whereabouts are you sitting today? And this is a really great question that I not only use for my coaching and Reiki clients, but I actually use for myself as well. And so sometimes, not every day, but sometimes when I feel I need it, I take the time out for self-reflection. And I actually did this for myself this morning before I'm shooting this video. And I asked myself that exact same question. Casey, 0 to 10, 0 feeling terrible, 10 being amazing, whereabouts do you sit today, in general? And the answer came to me pretty quick. And then, as usual, I kind of sat back and was like, oh, is that accurate? How am I actually feeling? Is that the right number? And then after a few moments of kind of feeling into the number and feeling into where I was at, I decided 8 out of 10 was how I was feeling today. And there's no judgment ever, because everyone is energy and every day is a new day. And so we're not always going to stay the same number every day. Of course, things will happen. We'll go up and down a little bit. That's just human nature. I think it's a great question to ask ourselves, because over time you can kind of see, am I going up? Am I going down? Am I kind of staying the same roughly? What's really happening in my world? So clients come in, I ask them 0 to 10, how are you feeling? 0 terrible, 10 amazing, they answer. Then my next question is always, okay, well, why do you say that number? Why have you pulled that number out? What's the reason behind that? And then we launch into a bit of a discussion from there. I did this for myself this morning and I wrote it down on this trusty whiteboard, and I thought I would share it with you today. It's taken me a little bit of courage, I have to say, to actually share this with you, because it's something that I do for myself. It's very intimate, it's very personal to me. But I thought, it's all about being vulnerable, and I think it helps if I can be vulnerable with you guys so that you can also be vulnerable, not just to me, but also with yourselves. And I think sometimes that's the hardest part. So here we go. This is my workings from this morning. You may not be able to read my writing. It's pretty bad. I'll definitely own that, but I'll talk you through it. So my first question is, Casey, to myself, how am I feeling today? And I kind of sat with it, and the number 8 out of 10 came to me immediately. And then I sat with it for another minute or so and decided, yep, that's the right number for me. 8 out of 10 is pretty good. And then I wrote down, why 8 out of 10? Like, what is it that why did that number come out for me? Why did I pull that number? And I kind of spent a bit of time thinking about it. And to be honest, this wasn't my first draft. I wrote some things down, I wiped it out, I wrote some stuff down, I wiped it out again. I guess that's the benefit of doing it on a whiteboard. Normally I do it in my journal and there's pages and pages, but one page here. I said to myself, generally feeling pretty good, smiley face, 8 out of 10 is pretty good. The reason why I said 8 out of 10 is because one thing that's been on my mind of late is that I'm kind of thinking about the connections that I have with my job, my business, my Reiki and coaching and yoga business. And something that I'm kind of after is maybe some more connection. I find it sometimes really hard to make decisions all on my own, and I'm sure any sole business owner or small business owner can attest to that as well. Sometimes it is quite tricky to know what the right thing is, or to know that the direction you're heading in is the right way. And of course, there is no right way, right? We just trial and error and we just see how things go. And for me, I'm very big on trusting my intuition, and I kind of put it out there to the universe and see what comes back at me. So I'm trusting my intuition, and I have a really good relationship with, I guess, my higher self. However, of course, being human, sometimes it's really nice to have that physical conversation and, be able to bounce ideas off someone and to work with someone on something. So that's kind of one part of why I said 8 out of 10. The other part was romantic relationships. So I'm single at the moment, and have been single for around about 2 and a bit years. And I guess it's taken me, honestly, that amount of time to really, come into myself again. And now I think that I'm craving some connection there too, in a romantic sense. I have plenty of friendships, I've got great family and so on, but the intimacy that's found in a romantic relationship, and also I think you learn so much about yourself in a relationship. There's only so much you can learn on your own. We're social creatures, and we only really find out about ourselves when we're in a relationship. When we are relating to someone else, and we can kind of get ourselves mirrored back at us through that other person. It's interesting. I listened to podcast or a talk by Esther Perel recently, a relationship psychologist. She's been working with couples for like upwards of 35 years or something. She's amazing. And she said on this podcast the other day that, a lot of people go overseas on their own, or travel on their own, or become single, or whatever it is, to find themselves. But it's funny because it's actually kind of works the other way around. You actually really get to know yourself in relation to the people that we hang around, or in relation to others. So really, we find ourselves by being in relationships. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could be any relationships. Of course, sometimes after a relationship ends, you need that time to reconnect and to come back into balance and to find your path again. For me, I feel like I'm on my path, I know my purpose, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, I'm in a really good place, and now I'm kind of ready to put myself out there again. So the interesting thing about both of these things that I noticed was that I was craving connection. And it's funny because Tony Robbins mentions that he teaches that there are 6 core needs that every single human has. I won't go through them now, that's another talk, but one of the things is connection, and I already know that this is one of my main core drivers, my top 2 core drivers. In other words, it's super, super important for me. And then when I did a little bit more self-reflection or self-inquiry on, okay, well, what type of connection am I actually craving here? I realized that it was a deeper level connection. I have a great relationship with my family. My dad and I are super close. My sister and I are really close as well, even though she's opposite side of the world right now. I've got great friends. Friendships come and go, and they kind of drift in and out a little bit, but on a whole, really great supportive friends. But that's not quite kind of what I'm craving. I think what I am seeking now is that soul connection, that deeper connection that lies beneath the surface. I'm seeking different conversations that get to the guts of things, to get right into the nitty gritty. I'm pretty good at having, conversations with just about anyone, but I'm kind of seeking the people around me now that I can really talk to about the most deepest and darkest of things, or the topics that people don't normally want to talk about, or kind of going into different areas rather than just the superficial stuff. I'm after connection where there's no judgment, just wholehearted support. People that don't necessarily lump their opinions and their judgments on you straight away, but are there to listen and there to help and support and I guess lift each other up. That's the kind of connection that I'm after. Someone that can lift each other up, someone who inspires and motivates me. I guess motivation is not really the right word, but inspires. That's definitely someone that I'm seeking, whether that be in business or romantic relationship or even just mentorship as well, people in general. I am putting out there at the moment for people that are kind of like doing amazing things and people that really inspire me and people that I look to and be like, wow, like how incredible, that thing that they're doing. And there is a certain level of inspiration that I have for people that I don't know personally, people like Tony Robbins or, different celebrities or different idols that I have that I don't necessarily know personally. But of course, that's part of the problem, right? I don't really know them personally. So I just read and I listen and I get, absorb information from what they're putting out there to the general public. But it's only part of the story. You don't really know someone until you meet them in person and have that conversation. So I'm after someone who inspires me that I can connect with on, I guess, a higher level. And so for me, I've realized through this process of self-inquiry, self-reflection, that the two things that are occupying the most amount of my headspace in terms of holding me at an 8 out of 10 rather than kind of like getting me to a 10 out of 10 is maybe I'm craving a little bit of connection, both in the workspace and both in the personal space as well. It's interesting that it's the same theme for both areas. And it's actually not just a superficial connection. It's like going down a few more layers and getting right into the guts of conversation and connection and I guess inspiration as well. So for me, that was actually really quite enlightening for me this morning. I kind of have realized that through my self-Reiki practice because I have been spending a lot of time Reikiing my heart and my solar plexus without even consciously realizing it. I think I did know, but it's funny because my hand just kind of stuck there after a while and it's like, okay, what's going on here? So spending time in self-reflection and self-inquiry is really good because it broadens your self-awareness. You get to know a little bit more about yourself and what you're putting out there. It also gives you an insight into, okay, like what's occupying the most amount of my energy at the moment? Like what am I thinking about? What am I spending my time focusing on? Or maybe what am I spending time randomly thinking about but not even consciously? Once you become aware of how you're feeling, 8 out of 10 for me, then you can ask the next question, what's going to bring me up to a 9 out of 10? What's going to bring me up to a 10 out of 10? And then the process can go from there. I really hope that this has been kind of enlightening to you. If you would like to go through this process yourself, then please do ask yourself how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, and kind of work it through from there. If you need support in going through this process, this is exactly what I do with my clients. I'm there to hold space. I'm there with no judgment, and I'm there simply to get curious about why it is they feel the way that they feel and why, like, what are the things that's holding them there? What can we do to lift them up just that little bit higher? I'll put my contact details in the comments below. If you have any questions, please reach out. If you'd like to book in for a Reiki healing or a coaching session, I'd love to hear from you. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. See you soon.